viewers, the video that we're showing you on your screens is the first video of the terror attack that rocked the Bondi Beach area in Sydney, Australia today. According to reports, at least 10 people have died and one suspect has been shot dead by the police. What you see on your screen is a visual of scared people fleeing the Bondi Beach to get away from the mass shooting that took place today. You can see in the video people are jumping the railings, fleeing with their belongings in their hands, and what you can hear is the police sirens and gunshots in the background. Listen in.
¿Qué está pasando? ¿Dónde? Alicia, escucha, Alicia, porque me pasa algo. Algo está pasando, pero no sé qué. Pero ¿a dónde va la guru? Perro, ¿qué pasó? Sí, vámonos ya.
Now viewers, another video that you see on your screen shows one Australian man disarming the alleged terrorist. You can also see the man taking his gun and shooting him back in a show of retaliation, possibly saving tens more. Now this is a drone video of the same attack. In the video you can see the shootout between the alleged terrorist and the New South Wales police. Moreover, you can also see a man lying right beside a car and two people can be seen reportedly dead on the bridge. This is a new angle of that attack that has emerged on the internet. In this video, you can see two men wearing black overalls starting shooting from top of a bridge, giving them a vantage point to cause casualties. What you see on your screen is the first video of the shooters in police custody that came out of Bondi Beach. You can see New South Wales police pinning the men down on the ground and an Australian man hitting the shooters in their head. This is a video from the Bondi Beach that was released recently. This video shows many people dead and injured after the mass shooting that took place in Australia's Sydney today. The man that you see in your screen is one of the shooters responsible for the death of at least 10 people in the mass shooting that took place at the Bondi Beach in Sydney's New South Wales. According to recent reports, one shooter has been shot dead while two are in police custody. I have my guests joining me on the broadcast. I have with me Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, former diplomat, Major General Sudhakarji, senior geopolitical and strategic defense expert, and I also have Major General Brajesh Kumar, former DG Military Infrastructure and senior defense expert. I'd like to welcome all my guests, and I want to begin by Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta. Ambassador Gupta, how do you see this shocking and devastating terror attack in Australia?
Good afternoon, Vaishali. Good afternoon to my co-panelists. It is extremely, I would say, painful event which has taken place. You see, Hanukkah is the most important Jewish festival. It is something like Diwali in India. And these people had gone to this beach, Bondi Beach near Sydney, to celebrate the Hanukkah festival. And they were obviously made target by maybe 2, maybe 3 terrorists. Now, the identity of the terrorist has not been disclosed, but I am absolutely certain that these has to be, extreme Islamist people who are absolutely against all the Jews. Because some of the Islamic countries, and in fact many of the Islamic terrorist organizations, have been waging a war against Israel, and they are targeting, the Jewish people wherever they find them. So this is again a very heinous crime, targeting a particular community in a country which has nothing to do with the war in Palestinian region or in near Israel. The Israeli war is totally between the two nations, but these peaceful citizens living in Australia had nothing to do with it. And they have been targeted, I'm sure, by the Islamist terror organizations. Now the question arises, there was some report from the Australian Prime Minister's office. They ignored certain warnings. Warnings had been issued that before the Hanukkah festival there could be terror attack against them, but nobody gave attention to them, and this is the result. Secondly, how these people were able to get hold of these powerful weapons, that they could shoot these people from a distance and kill. At least 10 people have been killed. One shooter has been captured or killed, and two more are, have been captured. So all this has happened because they had these powerful weapons available with them. Now, how those weapons were allowed, what was the ammunition they could use, and how they could target these people, it is a very sad story. But in a developed country with very small population, country like Australia, this should have been monitored properly, but this has happened. And I feel that the Islamic terrorist organizations are becoming extremely powerful, and they are spreading their net all over the world. They have now access to weapons, and they have now access to some of the very powerful tools which they are using against other communities. So one has to be very careful. This is in a way it's a religious war. You may not call it that way, but it is a religious war. It is a war between the Islam and Jewish people. Over to you, Vaisali.
I want to go across to Major General Sudhakarji. Now, Major General Sudhakarji, any terror attack, be it in India or in any part of the world, is absolutely heartbreaking. I was seeing visuals of this terror attack, and it reminded me of the terror attack in Pahalgam. People scared, running for their lives. And on a beautiful, peaceful festival like Hanukkah, especially targeting Jews, what would you like to say?
It's a very sad thing, very unfortunate thing, Vaishali, in the way it is happening. Actually, there are a couple of issues which are getting thrown up. And while it is, before I go ahead, I might extend my condolences to the demised soul, and pray to God for their bereaved families to be given strength and courage to face this loss. And the people of Australia would do well if they take cognizance of what is happening. But let me share with you my thought process. You see, now a couple of things are actually getting thrown up. One, the local and the regional conflict between a conventional army and a non-state actor has started manifesting in form of a global conflict now outside the boundaries of Middle East. What we thought that Netanyahu would be able to address that octopus doctrine of Iran, octopus meaning the head of octopus is in Iran, and the tentacles being Houthis in Yemen and Hamas in Gaza. Then you had Hezbollah towards the Lebanon, South Lebanon, and you have that Hadith al-Saif, which nobody talks about, is also another faction, and host of militias. While they have been weakened, but they have been compelled to leave the region, the Middle East, and look around for places where they can assert themselves. One, this is my thoughts coming to my mind. Second, third thing is, I think be it the Five Eyes or all countries world over, it's time that we need to put our heads together and find a common definition and of terrorism, and work out and evolve a counter strategy, effective counter strategy. It's no point wasting time to call a freedom fighter of one country as a terrorist, and terrorist is a freedom fighter. These kind of definitions and interpretations will do more harm to the Five Eyes countries than to others. As it is, we are in thick of it. We are victim for so many years, and it does pain us, it does hurt us, but we have learned to live through. It has become a way of life, and we bounce back after every terrorist attack. It will actually hurt these Five Eyes, these countries who have been trying to push the very concept that India proposed way back in 1996 and 97 in United Nations Security Council, that folder is still gathering dust. I'm sure the ambassador would bear me out. Nothing has happened on that until 9/11 took place. It is after 9/11 that the US was shaken out of slumber. They came to Afghanistan, and thereafter they got distracted and moved towards left, right and center without focusing on the main issue. Global war on terror can't be done in ifs and buts. There can't be choices. There have to be a consolidated and concerted action. Next point that I have in the mind is that these terrorists are targeting the places of tourists. Those of us who've been to Bondi, they will bear me out that it is one of the best beaches in the world, one of the iconic beaches. It is the most attractive beaches in Australia, and that too happening on a festivity which is starting today. Chakuna they call it, but I heard the respected ambassador calling it Akuna. I think it is Chakuna, written as Chakuna. It is the main festival, something akin to, like he rightly said, Diwali. It's a festival. They are targeting the festival. But most important thing that strikes my mind is that unlike USA, Australia has got a tight control of the guns. Anyone and everyone cannot move for freely with a guns in his hand. And while the USA may be having some kind of constitutional protection, Australia doesn't have, to the best of my knowledge. If I'm going wrong, I'm open to corrections. But how is that these people, they have got into a place like this with weapons? If there are 2 of them who have been spotted, I'm very sure there are 4 of them who are hiding, giving support. Support means fire support, going by the military tactical usage and the application. Last but not the least, it's a wake-up call, not only for Australia, not only for the Five Eyes countries, but for the entire world order. We have to take note of the quiet and the passive extension of the global caliphate of multiple Islamic radical groupings. You could call it as ISIS, somebody could call it as Al-Qaeda. They have different names, but the purpose is to cause mayhem and kill the mankind, destroy our mankind from the face of the planet. Therefore, I think we need to come together, put our thoughts together, work out an effective counter strategy, and look for solutions in the rules-based international order, and not to go after the Monroe Doctrine towards the Western Hemisphere. That they have a major role and responsibility to actually address such kind of things. Every time you charge or attack the terrorists, be assured that they will come back with reprisal. I don't mean to say that you don't kill them, don't attack them, but then it has to be a well thought out strategy. Where did we start? Where should we end? Is there an end? Without diplomacy and dialogue, I don't think there is going to be an end. We need to listen to all the stakeholders, find out acceptable solutions, mutually acceptable solutions to all the aggrieved parties. Only then I think this rouse of terrorism will come to some kind of a thaw, or at least it will die down in its momentum and intensity. Back to you, Vaishali.
I also have Major General Brijesh Kumar, former DG Military Infrastructure Senior Defence Expert. Major General Kumar, my question to you really is that, there has been a certain security lapse even in Australia, because the Bondi Beach is visited by tourists. It's a packed area. What do you feel about that?
Good afternoon, Vaishali, and good afternoon to all our viewers and co-panelists as well. No amount of protection can save you from a determined insurgent attack. We've seen it over last so many years across the globe. The menace of terrorism has to be handled not by negotiation alone, not by talks alone, but by a very heavy hand. Have you seen any terrorist attack in China, or Russia, or North Korea? No. It's only the democratic nations who talk about it and keep on talking about it. Events after events take place, and who knows it better than us in India? We've suffered terrorism in all manifestations for a long period of time in our border state. Also, the terrorism was perpetrated by our neighbors most of the time. It was not a homegrown terror. So we learned to cope with it. But the support in terms of international support with various bodies has been lackadaisical, has been political per se. The fact that terrorism does not even have a definition proper as far as United Nations is concerned is a point to ponder. So what do you do? This is a sad thing. It has happened. But it only happens in democracy. You have to come back with a very, very heavy hand. Preventive action, harsh action, obliteration of these would be the only way, I presume. Imagine, without knowing anything about it, you knew, okay, in the Bondi Beach, there is an Israeli festival on. So obviously the perpetrators would be from a particular set of people, and you knew it. Before it happened, before the results came, we knew these are the guys. Now, terrorism spreads for a number of reasons. They want oxygen, they want publicity, they want revenue, they want revenge. But the ball game is, how does democratic nations deal with it? That's a big question. Just taking it to our nation, our country, you start talking about it and you find that there is no political unison on this issue. That's true of, maybe true of Australian democracy as well. So people have got to be one. People have got to come back together. People have to get back to the government and force them to act in a manner which is fast, which is efficient, and which kills it. Recently, the US strategic doctrine released, they've talked about it, of ingress of refugees in Europe in a large number of ways, who are not only changing possibly the demographic pattern per se, but also manifesting in terror activities of all varieties. It's not only with a gun. It can be with the other varieties of actions as well. You find possibly the demography of Europe may change. Is it a threat? Of course it's a threat. Do we need to take action? Obviously we need to take action. So not only the government, but the people at large have to understand the scourge of terrorism. Fortunately, only after 9/11, the Western powers, especially the America, they probably understood what terrorism was about. Our hankering, our talking about it since the 80s, 90s, couldn't make them understand. If we have in the 21st century today an attack in a peaceful place, in a way corner in Australia, an attack, we've got to take notice of it. We means everybody, all right-thinking people, organizations, political parties, people in the business of security, people in the business of management of security per se. So it's a bad day, it's a sad day. Our empathy is with the people who lost their life, but then we got to be strong. Hope we also in India itself have become very strong on this issue. We remember what kind of politics took place after the Pahalgam attack. Or even before that, a couple of incidents in Kashmir Valley. So voice of people together has a role to play. But more important than that, strict action by military, overt security forces and what have you. You keep on fighting diplomatically, side by side. You keep on fighting politically, side by side. That's not an issue. But you've got to be very, very firm on terrorism. It has no place in the history, in the world, in this century. Hopefully people will take note. Hopefully people will do something about it. Taking note, make the statements come very easy. And as it is, Australia is one far off corner in the world. It doesn't affect people so much, economically or otherwise. But I do hope people understand that we need to take care and try and banish this terrorism or its manifestation in all forms. The earlier, the better. It's simple to say, but more difficult to act. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all my esteemed panelists for joining me on the broadcast, and we have more breaking news coming in. Now, meanwhile, eyewitnesses have spoken on the horrific attack at the Bondi Beach in Australia's Sydney. Let's listen in.
I ran onto the beach. I guess everyone ran onto the beach. It was pretty terrifying. And yeah, I eventually went back to see what was happening. A few people helped. We sort of helped a few old people get up and get out of there, but it was like there were lots of bodies on the floor. It was a fenced-in event. It was kind of like I don't know, fish in a barrel. Like the guy had I think of what I've been told, he had an automatic rifle, big gun, standing on the bridge, and just target practice.
So I was out at the restaurant over there and I was just serving I think I was taking away some dishes, but I was nearby the front and, I heard these shots go off and I knew it was gunshots immediately, but I didn't really register it. So I just sort of saw them all the way over there, just people start running and I'm going, well, maybe it's like a one-time shooting, not like it's not America, like not a massacre event, but turns out it was, and the whole shop just like stood up and we all just ran into the back exit and everyone was pushing everyone. There was no like semblance and we just ran in.
And of course, viewers, our hearts go out to the families of the victims in this terrible terror attack. Condolences to the bereaved.